What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package update, stimulus check update, daily news, everything going on here in our country with our economy, money, investing, and the stock market, everything you need to know about on a daily basis. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. We got a lot to talk about here. Senator Joe Manchin, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the stimulus package. There's a lot of talk going on here, as well as three different reasons why you might get a fourth stimulus check in 2022. And we're going to hear from the Senate about getting rid of the filibuster here today, which could make it easier to pass bills here in the Senate. So let's jump right in. Here we go. Yeah, as you can see here, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives, insists that the Build Back Better package can pass, despite what Joe Manchin says, and that they have been in talks with Senator Joe Manchin here, and that they can reach an agreement. As you can see here, Nancy Pelosi says, quote, "There is an agreement to be reached with Senator Joe Manchin on the Build Back Better package." Apparently, they have been speaking with him, and they think that they can reach a deal with Senator Joe Manchin. And a couple of questions come to mind. Is there a version of the economic plan of the couple stimulus packages that they're working on that Senator Joe Manchin can support? The Build Back Better package, and there's now several stimulus packages, COVID stimulus packages, virus emergency relief packages that Congress is talking about and potentially working on right now to potentially send out emergency stimulus relief because of how bad the virus is. And in today's version of You Can't Make This Stuff Up, check out this headline here from Business Insider. Negotiating with Senator Joe Manchin is like playing on a Etch-a-Sketch because his opinion changes based on the last person he talked to, Democrats say. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. I guess you have to, if you want to get Joe Manchin's vote, you have to talk to him right before you vote and convince him of what you need him to vote on, and then go to vote on it immediately. I guess that's how they got his vote on the third stimulus check, the $1,400, and the child tax credits, because he did vote yes on that. And I guess that's how you get Joe Manchin's vote. So, because apparently the Democrats are saying now that they can reach an agreement with him based on their most recent conversations, and they seem to think that based on their most recent conversations that they can get a deal done with him. But of course, you could talk to him tomorrow and he'll be on the news saying something different. Because again, it depends on if he's talked to a Republican or talked to a Democrat here recently in the last 24 hours. Good old Joe Manchin. He's quite the character, that's for sure. The Senate is considering removing the filibuster, which is the normal process to pass a vote, not the reconciliation process, which is how they passed the third stimulus check package and how the Republicans passed the 2017 Trump tax cuts when the Republicans were in charge of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. But the normal process to pass a vote in the Senate needs 60 votes, okay? And right now, the Democrats are considering getting rid of the filibuster for voting rights and possibly more, and removing it down to just a simple majority of 51 votes. Mitch McConnell from the Republicans did this here just a few years ago and removed the filibuster for appointing Supreme Court justices to just a simple majority as well. Former President Donald Trump wanted to get rid of the filibuster as well when Republicans were in control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's been trying to be weakened several times here, and has been a few times, and Democrats are trying to do it again here now. Check this out. And if this is done, This would be a huge major thing because bills would be able to be passed in the Senate with just a simple majority.
Filibuster is used far more today than ever before, by some measures 10 times as much compared to past decades. And by some measures, the filibuster, again, let me say it again, by some measures, the filibuster is used as much as 10 times today compared to the past decade. My colleague from Oregon's an expert on this, and my guess is we'll perorate on it. Some might wonder if any of the great accomplishments of the past would have had a chance of passage today. Would the Social Security Act pass the modern Senate? Medicare and Medicaid, civil rights? We sure hope they would, but it's difficult to see with the way the chamber works this day. As I've said since the fall, if this sort of obstruction will continue, I believe the Senate needs to be restored to its rightful status as the world's greatest deliberative body. It was that in the past. It is certainly not that now. It earned that title precisely because, yes, debate is a central feature of this body and always will be. But at the end of the day, so is governing. So is taking action when needed, once the debate has run its due course. This is an old fight in this chamber. Over 100 years ago, the great senator of Massachusetts, Henry Cabot Lodge, said that, quote, "To vote without debating is perilous, but debate and never vote is imbecile." To vote without debating is perilous, but to debate and never vote is imbecile. We should heed those words today, and Democrats are currently exploring the paths we have available to restore the Senate so it does what the framers intended: debate, deliberate, compromise, amend, and vote. As I said in my dear colleague earlier this week, if Republicans continue to hijack the rules of the chamber to prevent us from protecting our democracy, then the Senate will debate and consider changes to the rules on or before January 17th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. As we hold this debate, I ask my colleagues to consider this question. If the right to vote is the cornerstone of our democracy, then how can Democrats permit a situation in which Republicans can pass voter suppression laws at the state level with only a simple majority vote, but not allow the United States Senate to do the same? This asymmetry cannot hold. If Senate Republicans continue to abuse the filibuster to prevent this body from acting, then I would plead with the Senate, particularly my colleagues on this side of the aisle, to adapt. And we must adapt for the sake of our democracy so we can pass the legislation I talked about earlier.
Yeah, so what Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer mentions is that, and he brings up a good point here, and what a lot of bills, kind of the majority of bills right now, seem to feel like, is that the Democrats and the Republicans seem to be on opposite sides of each other on almost everything. Almost everything. There's a few bills that they come together on, but it seems like on almost everything, it's the Republicans versus the Democrats. It's the Democrats versus the Republicans, and they're trying to always come together, right? They always seems to be two opposite forces instead of one country together, right? And he mentions that would the Social Security Act passed today with the way our Congress is, the way the filibuster is, needing 60 votes. And the problem is when you need 60 votes, it's basically you need to come together. And when one party is against the other party, you basically either get the other party or you don't. And would Medicare have passed? Would Medicaid have passed? Would Social Security have passed? Would the Unemployment Act have passed? A lot of these things that you think about how bad the pandemic is, how bad the recession has been, this once in 100-year thing that we're going through right now. Imagine if we didn't have a lot of these things right now. And it kind of makes you wonder imagine if our seniors here didn't have Social Security to live on. Not that long ago, about 100 years or so ago, we didn't have Social Security. And it took the Great Depression to happen and for the United States to figure out that we needed something like that. that we needed something like that, because before that we didn't even have it. We didn't even have it. We didn't have unemployment either. So if you lost your job today, if your business that you worked for went out of business, you lost your paycheck, and tomorrow there was nothing. Government didn't step in to temporarily help you out. You just were SOL. Yeah. And that's why the unemployment system is really it's a godsend for a lot of people, for that temporary assistance to help you out when you go through that really tough time. You think about a lot of people, they have a job for years, and then all of a sudden that one fateful day comes and they lose their job. And it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? They go home to their their spouse, maybe their kids, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh. Well, at least the government steps in temporarily and says, you know what? Here's your paycheck. Now remember, employers pay into that unemployment compensation fund as well. So it's kind of a dual system there. But not too long ago, we go back to the Great Depression, back to the 1920s and 30s. That didn't exist, along with Social Security didn't exist. And hopefully, coming out of this pandemic, slightly different, but you know, kind of similar if you think about people struggling. And we think about hopefully we're going to see some changes come out of here as well. And there is a lot of kind of things on the table here. Social Security raises, child tax credits that have now expired, paid family and medical leave, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, utility assistance, lowering the cost of childcare, lowering the cost of prescription drug prices. We pay more for prescription drug prices than any other country in the world, which pains me to say that. And in fact, we pay more by a long shot. We just simply get taken advantage of. That is something that needs to change. We're the only first world country that does not have a paid family medical leave. So if you catch the virus, if you're dealing with it right now, which millions of people are, if you have a friend or family member that's dealing with it right now that can't go to work because they have to quarantine because they're sick, if their company doesn't offer them the paid time off for that, they're just straight up missing out on pay. And a lot of, in fact, 25% of Americans right now cannot even afford to pay their bills. Somewhere around 80 million Americans. So, let alone if they can't afford to pay their bills, imagine if they're now missing out on a week or two or three of their paycheck because they've now caught the virus. Yeah. And that kind of leads us into this. Will there be a fourth stimulus check? 3 reasons why you might get another federal payment in 2022. As the pandemic continues into 2022, many Americans are hoping there will be another federal stimulus payment. Stimulus checks serve the purpose of helping those in need stimulate the economy during a financial downturn, which we've pretty much had for about 2 or 3 years now at this point. We're going into year number 3. So it does kind of make you wonder how long this pandemic is going to go on. And it's really nobody's fault. I mean, it's a virus, and you kind of think about, we've had viruses for many, many years. We think about the Spanish flu. I know a lot of people get all into the conspiracy theories of the pandemic, but we've been dealing with viruses for a long, long time. The Spanish flu, which many people actually credit for ending World War I, killed more than 50 million people. And a lot of people say that that is one of the main reasons they had to stop World War I, because the Spanish flu, that pandemic, actually claimed 50 million people's lives. Yeah, I mean, you could look this up. You can Google this. It's all over the internet. Hundreds, maybe thousands of sources here. 50 million people. Think about that in today's terms. And 50 million people, we look at today, the U.S. is nearing getting close to 1 million deaths, which is really sad to say. And 60 million people have tested positive, but almost 836,000 lives. But if we look at worldwide here, 5.5 million. Okay, um, but we're nowhere close to this pandemic being over. When we look at 1918, the Spanish flu, which is what is known by most people, that was more than 50 million lives. So it's not like this is the only pandemic here. We think about bird flu, we think about H1N1, we think about the Zika virus, Ebola virus, HIV virus, um, the flu. I mean, there's all sorts of different viruses here. A lot of people want to say, "Oh, it's the government doing this." I mean, this is going on across the whole world. So a lot of people got to remember that, and this is viruses like this, or a lot of people say, oh, it's all about the money, it's all about making the vaccine companies rich. I personally don't believe that, because when you look at stuff like this, we go back over 100 years ago, 50 million people died. So I just personally, I try to keep those things in mind, that we've been dealing with viruses like this for a long time. And we've now seen 3 stimulus checks, child tax credit payments, emergency rental assistance, utility assistance, homeowner assistance, paycheck protection program, SNAP assistance, all this additional stuff, right? And if we have another economic disaster, that could lead to another stimulus check. In fact, Congress is working on more stimulus packages now. You can see here, while virus cases continue to spike, we're over 700,000 cases per day on average right now, just in the US, people testing positive. Those who are vaccinated are unlikely to get severely ill, but it's still the amount of people testing positive. Hospitals are overloaded, the economy, people can't go to work. And this includes if the Omicron variant and the new variant emerges, which we have reported on as well, significantly reduces the potential effectiveness of the vaccine, or if more shutdown occurs. And get this, the stock market is falling pretty hard today as well. The Dow Jones Industrial Average Stock Index is down 336 points here intraday. That's a lot of points for the Dow. And the NASDAQ is down over 200 points here, almost 1.5% just today, intraday, for the NASDAQ. It's actually come up a little bit here. It was down even more than that. That looks like an addition. It was down about another, what was that? Another 150 points here, just about a couple hours ago. So it's actually come up. It looks like it was down 350 points for the NASDAQ, and the Dow was down here, looks like about another 200 points. So the Dow was down, it looks like about 550 points here today. So we are seeing a lot of kind of fear in the markets here right now as of today, aka, this is a lot of potential economic worries going on here. Reason number 2, abysmal poll numbers. Just months ago, President Biden had an approval rating of 56%, according to data from an analytics from Gallup. Now his approval rating has plunged to just 43%. And I think in some polls, it's even lower than that. His approval rating was higher at the beginning of the year after he signed his 3rd stimulus check package into law. Should his poll numbers continue to tank, this could force Biden to push for another round of stimulus and stimulus checks. After all, the stimulus checks are immensely popular among the American people. According to the Morning Consult and Politico poll in March, nearly 4 in 5 Americans supported the $1,400 stimulus checks. That's almost an 80% approval rating for that. Getting 80% of people to approve, to agree on anything is a miracle. Even just to say the sky is blue is getting getting people to agree on that is a miracle. And pressure from voters. Speaking of his approval ratings, some on social media have tried to use that to their advantage to encourage President Biden to push for more cash. 21 senators, Senate Democrats, signed a letter to Mr. Biden to push for recurring stimulus payments. If more pressure mounts up from voters and other major figures in power, then that could force Biden to act and encourage Congress to pass another round of stimulus. Also, we've had a lot of other states and cities giving out stimulus checks and other universal basic income and other sorts of stimulus programs going on here, as I've mentioned on the channel. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below so you can join our family of subscribers and not miss out on any new videos. It's completely free to do so. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss any new videos. I will keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country and with potential new stimulus coming out here. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can click here to see a new IRS stimulus announcement letter that's going out that you probably need to know about. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.